Thank you, Honorable Kubeka. Honorable Mente.
No, thank you, Chair. Now, I only have two clarities. The rest will be clarified by the departments. Just two clarities to the SIU on the PRASA one, as on the matter of Swifambo appointment and the tender process thereof. Because if they didn't have capacity and they outsourced 100% of what they were appointed to do, did you get who appointed all those bid committees? What happened? How did they arrive at a point where they were convinced Swifambo has capacity? And then when Swifambo outsources the entire contract to someone else, what did the board do? I just want to understand, when you went into the offices and asked those questions, what happened? Because in my understanding, the board, once it picks up such errors, it would have intervened ordinarily as the authorities in the institution if the GCE is defeated by the bid, whatever committees that are there. The second one is, or before I go to the second one, because these ones of trains and everything that can be recovered and monies and everything, for me they are secondary, because they are now remedies on how do we get our money back as a state. How do we then get that value? But there's something wrong, and I'm not understanding it at all. So then the second one is on this panels of attorneys at RAF. There also I have a big question. Once the panel of attorneys is collapsed, now we have a high number of judgments. Ordinarily, the process of RAF doesn't get to that stage if it's not engineered at the office. So it means the investigation should look at how did the system fail to a point where it gets to that default judgment. Because the panel of attorneys as well was not doing much, more than that it was trying to be extinguishing the fires of the failures of the system. But once there is a spike, someone is engineering the problem so that the spike brings back this particular thing. For me, it's a designed problem, so that there must be a failure of this institution, and then we must bring these people to save the institution, which renders the leadership of the institution very useless. So I want to understand there, if what are these anomalies that you picked up? Because the spike would not just ordinarily go. Because when they collapsed the panel, they did have a system of how they are going to counter whatever needs available, as well as how they were paying the panel and all those things. Because the panel itself, Chair, there were shortfalls in what was happening and what informed the leadership of RAF to collapse the panel. They didn't just do it out of spite and all those things. They were informed by a practice and a pattern they picked up on particular cases going into the panel, and the panel having to work on same cases and build up and then payments and all of those things. But there is some engineering of a problem which must persist and push the state to say, no, the leadership is failing, number one. Two, we're losing money, and the money shouldn't go there. However, the process of RAF says a file comes in, within a certain period of time, it should be finalized. If it's not finalized, then the lawyers go there. How do we pass this stage, and why are we not having people accountable to make sure that we don't pass that stage of finalization before it goes to court? So that's where the problem for me is, and I want to understand, how did you deal with that one? Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Plase.
Yeah, no, thank you, Chair. I think most of the issues have been covered, so it'll be very short. I promise I won't compete with Honorable Maduna and Skosana. They are leading in that department. Yeah, no, Chair. I think, Chair, I like how the SIU phrase the insurance fraud as not fit for purpose. Yeah, but it's fraud. No, it's deliberate, Chair, because I mean you can't pay, and I think the premium per month is even more than what the claims are. If we can get that report to say, now you've got this insurance that you are paying, it covers a certain benchmark, but you still, as an organ or as an entity, still needs to pay us claims. And if we were to look at those claims, you'll find that majority of them are even lesser than the premium. So it's insurance fraud. It's fraud. It's a systematic fraud. Some people are benefiting from these premiums and everything else. So not fit for purpose. Well, I get it from their side, but sometimes they just need to say these things as they are.
Like auditors, ne?
Well, yeah. Again, the coast employees, we ventilated this with the AG yesterday. I see the SIU says the Ziveza campaign was not properly coordinated and properly communicated. Again, was this a deliberate miscommunication from PRASA itself? So that they come back and say that they have not properly verified their employees. Was it do they find any deliberate misconduct from PRASA that the lack of communication was deliberate? Also, Chair, now with that, I think it's RAF now, RAF, with the duplicate payments from the attorneys, claimants, and sheriffs. Again, I see a similar medical legal claims kind of system approach here as well, where people look at the system, they identify loopholes, and they go for it. I see that when the SIU comes in, most of the legal practitioners, they come in and they sign off an AOD, and then we recover some money. But is that really enough in terms of now accountability? Do we end there? Once the person pays back, do we not refer them to their relevant bodies for further accountability? Because, I mean, we have found you, we see that now we caught you on an act. What then do we do after you've paid the money? And also, is there, just lastly, is there a proposal of the system? Because we are saying that the system with its 180 days allows for this duplicate. So did the SIU sit back and say this system allows, because this money that is recovered is paid back to RAF. Now they will come back and then it's going to be a cycle. So should we not propose a change in the system of payments? Has the SIU looked at that, and what's the proposal so that we can look into that? Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much. Over to you, Advocate Motibi and the
thank you.
team.
Thank
Then you can
Yes.
just start with all the PRASA questions.
Chair?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Chair. Sorry, Advocate. You know, I think my last question, I did not capture it correctly, or I did not include it at all, by saying, is the State Capture Commission on review? That was my last question. Thank you. Is it on the review? That's the question which I wanted to ask. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Atkinson.
Sorry, Chair, I only asked PRASA-related questions. Can I just pose, just very quickly, some questions on...
Yes, you can.
On the RAF. The other one I just wanted to ask the SIU was, apparently there's been a contract for the call centre. I'd just like to know if that's been investigated as to what's going on there. And the other is that there's a story that only 3% of the claims that go through are properly registered with the Road Accident Fund, which does leave the RAF open, exposed quite badly for claims that might be incorrect, that they would have a greater difficulty in refusing them. And then lastly, as far as the backlog is concerned, you mentioned the backlog. Who's going to be dealing with that backlog? Who's going to be appointed? How's that going to be? How's that going to be run, basically? Thanks.
Thank you. Over to you and your team.
If you found this video informative, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more content like this. And as always, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, stay informed and stay engaged.